do you remember, like, can you remember the first time that you came to either 814 or 818? Like, that's, I mean, and if you don't remember the first time, just like one of the first memories of coming around here, somebody like, hey, Kate, there's a party here. How did you end up here?
I think my first memories here, I was about 14 years old.
Yeah.
And I knew David Forbes from next door, from the Tucson music scene. And I'm pretty sure my first party was at 818. But then within a year, friends started moving into this house. And a constant stream of friends that I knew that lived here. I think when I was about 15, I started spending the night here whenever there was a show at Nino's. And so we would go to a show at Nino's, and then Tasha and Reed lived in this bedroom right here, and I would come and spend the night, even on school nights. Like, I don't even know how my mom let me go out on school nights, but I would go out to parties on school nights and then stay here and somehow walk a couple blocks down the way to go to school at Tucson High. And then I also really remember it being connected to the apartments where Caitlin and Sean used to live. And so this area right here where these giant high-rises are, there used to be a giant pit there. And I remember Splat and Dylan, when they lived in the basement here, in the afternoons, often we'd go to Value Village and buy old television sets that didn't work. And our big fun was to heave old television sets into the pit. So, like, if we were ever at a thrift store, we'd just buy old televisions. And I remember we'd line them up right here. And this wasn't even like during parties. This was just like afternoon fun. We'd go and throw televisions into the pit. And then finally it escalated up into going to the dump and seeing if we could find like big old televisions or glass things that we could just throw into the pit just for fun. Oh my God. Just to watch it smash.
Was it actually like a pit, like they were going to build something, like construction at...
It was, yeah. Like it was this giant pit and they were going to build something in there, and then for years they never built anything. And so it was kind of like our dare fun thing to see how many big crazy things we could throw into the pit.
That's like so classic.
Right? It was like crazy punk rock fun. And then I was thinking about another crazy memory. I don't know where we got them from, but somebody got these like big industrial sized rubber bands, and they got like dozens of them. And one night at a party, we tied all of these huge industrial rubber bands together, and we got a bunch of rolls of toilet paper, and we stood across the street at the Circle K and would put a roll of toilet paper in this big like rubber band slingshot thing, and we'd just pull it and slingshot it across Speedway. And so we TP'd this house with this industrial slingshot from across Speedway.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was crazy.
Oh my God.
It was totally crazy.
Elizabeth messaged me and she said, this might have been the same night that you guys launched pink plastic flamingos.
Yes.
Same night, or was
Yes.
it different?
Well, we used to do that all the time. That was like a rubber band period, right? Or the other really fun thing that we used to do, the poor people who worked at the Circle K, and this was totally a Dylan Splat memory. We would go across the street to the Circle K to buy whatever, right? And at that period of time, the like giveaway gag at Circle K were these seasonal scratch and sniff stickers. And so we'd go and like beg the cashier to give us scratch and sniff stickers, which is like so weird anyway, right? And one night we just kept harassing him, and he was like, fine, I'll give them all to you. And he gave us like rolls of, I remember they were pumpkin scratch and stick stickers, and then we made Halloween costumes with them, and we just covered our clothes in these scratch and sniff stickers, and we were just scratch and sniff stickers for Halloween. Yeah, it was
God,
so fun.
so-
It was so fun. Another kind of, I guess, punk rock activity that I remember was when Tasha had dreads, and she would periodically dye them all kinds of crazy colors long before the way like everybody dyes their hair crazy colors now. And she had a pet rat, and so we'd always have like hair dyeing parties, and we'd dye Tasha's dreads all these different colors, and then we'd dye her rat like a bunch of different colors too. So she had this like rainbow rat to match her rainbow dreads.
Of course.
Yeah,
Naturally.
it was beautiful.
And just that she had a rat, that's perfect.
She had a pet rat.
If you're punk rock
Yeah,
in the 80s.
that's the cool thing to have, right?
That's funny. Fonda, I've interviewed her, and she said that she remembered once walking into the kitchen of 814, and that there was a bunch of girls, and it might have been you in there, that were they had a giant gallon thing of conditioner and were trying to wash out, trying to like comb out Tasha's
Dreads, yes.
Was that you?
Yes, we used to have these like weird, let's work on Tasha's hair parties. And inevitably we would get dye on us, and we'd dye the rat, and it would get everywhere. That would usually evolve into some sort of like, I hate to say it, Everclear punch.
Were you there for that?
I was there for those.
What do you remember about the famous Everclear acid party, punch party here?
I remember that it was like grape Kool-Aid punch, and everybody had totally like punk rock purple black lips from it. That's about all I remember to tell you. But I do remember that. Yeah.
So funny. You're like, after that, everything's just like...
Yeah, it's just like weird little things like that we used to do to entertain ourselves that we thought were so great. And like now when I look back on it especially, I just feel like, I don't know, not that any of those things were so great, but I feel like bored kids just only go to their phones now, you know? And we used to like go to the dump or go to the thrift stores or go to the Circle K and just find weird things that we would entertain ourselves with.
What do you think it was that was special about that time?
The thing that was so special about it is that, sure, we were all kids or college kids or just young musicians with a place to party, but it really was so much more than that. It was really a community, and we really did look out for each other. And, you know, granted, we did dangerous, stupid things, but we also really looked out for each other. And we tried our best to be as creative as we possibly could about everything. If it was from making flyers or even practicing spray painting, like I remember when we painted that bathroom black, and we spray painted all this stuff on it. And it was, I mean, granted, you know, it's spray painting, but it was I felt like everything we did had a real artistic component to it. And for me anyway, it was when I was first falling in love with photography. And so I used to love to document it all. And there was something so gorgeous about the chaos. And I'm not quite sure why we fell so in love with the chaos, but I feel like we all really appreciated the chaos. And in a strange sense, it was organized chaos. It was organized chaos. It was whether it was a hair dyeing party or a band playing or painting or spray painting. I remember some tattoo sessions also. I remember Reed got a tattoo once, or just like being excited about each other's finds at Valley Village. Yeah. Like it was a creative community. Certainly music was the foundation of it, but I feel like the creativity went off into so many different directions.
What about Greasy Tonys being just right there, like, and just that these parties were going so late? It was like one of the only late night places in town.
Most of us were vegetarian, as I remember. Like a punk rock thing in the 80s was definitely to be a vegetarian. So I for sure remember when the parties would die down, because they were open till like 2 or 3 in the morning. I remember Greasy Tonys was open really late. And I definitely remember having like girlfriends sit down and review whatever happened at the party that night, sitting at Greasy Tonys. And it would always either be a couple of slices of cheese or a veggie cheese grinder. Right. And that was like okay, we better go eat.
So you get your Tony sandwich and you sit down and you
review the night. Yes. Like, who hooked up with who? Did you see what so-and-so did? So-and-so never showed up.
You guys were such a hard, gang of girls. Like, I remember the first time I met you and Tasha and Melissa, it was at the house on University where Dylan lived.
And,
right. And so it was a couple years later than like all this crazy stuff. But so I was 17, so you were probably around 17. I think we're the same age. Or right, I think so, yeah. So, but anyways, there was, you guys had this like such a like, it was like the Pink Ladies in Greece or something. Like it was like, you all literally were like, came up to me and you were like, who are you? Just like... Well, I was like the new kid on the block from the east side. I had like long bleach blonde hair, and you were all just like, what's up? Who is this guy? Hey, what's up? And I remember you were like the most sort of just like, hey, and Melissa was a little bit more, and Tasha was like, you know.
Melissa was always very shy. Right. And the interesting thing to me about that is because, so we went to Tucson High at the time, and now I'm a teacher at Tucson High. And so I'm always saying to the kids, you know, the friendships and the connections that you make right now are actually going to matter even more as you get older. And we really were, I don't want to say a gang, but we were like, you didn't want to mess with us. We were a team for sure. And part of that was the girl band. They were in a girl band, BLB, Blind Leading the Blind. And that was Tasha, Melissa, Aaron Webb, and Charlotte Godfrey. And strangely enough, Melissa was a teacher for many years. I'm a teacher for many years. Charlotte's a teacher. And Aaron became a teacher also. And Aaron and Charlotte don't live in Arizona anymore, but we have all stayed so tight. And when I tell people that, you know, most of my best friends I've known since high school, people are just blown away by that, you know, because so cool. I think that the bonds that we made here are lifelong. And even if we don't talk to each other all the time, like I don't see Tasha as much as I wish that I would, but we're like sisters. And I had her daughter as my student at Tucson High. Now Melissa's daughter goes to Tucson High. It's like this generational familia. We were really organically a cowpunk hoedown, like naturally, without even trying. It was like we were drawn to that anarchy, chaos of punk rock, and we really were political. I remember one of the first times I got arrested was with James Jordan at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, protesting against that stupid Star Wars thing that Reagan tried to do. And it was this organic punk rock. And since we are in the Southwest, and since we loved Al Perry, and since a lot of us, you know, I remember Tasha had a grandmother who had cows and horses, and we loved cowboy boots, and we always wore bolo ties. But we were also just really raw, organic punk rockers. And it's an interesting thing to me now because, you know, we used to, I think the Meat Puppets even played here. Meat Puppets, TSOL, the Misfits. Even if they played up the road at Nino's, they'd come here for the after party. And all of those punk rock bands, the kids today are wearing those t-shirts. Like, I have students who wear Misfits t-shirts. And I'll stop them and I'll say, hey, you know, I used to go see the Misfits when I was in high school. And they're like, really? And a lot of them don't even know who they are.
would just totally fucking blow their mind when you say that. They're so lucky to have you, by the way.
Oh, I hope
Seriously.
so. I hope so.
So what are, just like Ratt Off, who are your favorite Tucson bands at that time, like, that you just loved, that played here all the time?
All the time.
Yeah, like, who was
The Johnnies, the River Roses played here a lot. Los Hamsters. Oh my God, I loved Los Hamsters. The Phantom Limbs, adored the Phantom Limbs. UPS, Blood Spasm, What Went Wrong. Who else was there? Those were the main ones. Out There in the Cattle.
Yeah.
Whoops, Out There in the Cattle.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a teenager, I had this dream that Al Perry and the Cattle and Reiner would play at my wedding. Yeah, sadly, of course, Reiner didn't make it.
Do you remember have any memories from any of those 2 nights that Chris Wagner filmed on public access at Next Door at 818? Like, do you have any memories from that night?
I remember being so excited to be able to just dance with my friends all night long. Dance with my friends all night long and buy beer out of the Coke machine.
Yes, the beer machine is kind of the star of the movie.
The beer machine was really an
is.
epic part.
What do you think there was a difference between the 2 houses, the 818 and 814, the scenes that were there?
Well, they definitely merged, but I would say that, you know, David Forbes was a lot more adult than us. He was a, you know, computer whiz and had a real job and was making real money. So I would say that his house was a little bit more high tech, and this house was a little bit more grunge.
That's funny.
I mean, don't you think?
Well, like low tech.
High-low, you're right.
Because he would
Right.
be able to like just create
Right.
anything, just, like, in the spot.
Well, I mean high tech in terms of like all the amps worked better over there. The pinball machine and the beer machine is what I mean by high tech.
Exactly.
So I guess that's a Luddite version of.
High tech, low tech. It was like compared to over here. Here you had like a half broken tattoo machine. Or, you know. Oh my God, so
And I feel like it was more like the punk rock bands played more often at 814,
Yeah.
and the little bit more hipster bands played more often at 818.